There is arguably no better feeling in fantasy football than when you land an absolute steal. You get my 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Dominator, which is jam-packed with strategy and analysis for 250-plus players. And he's been strong in fantasy football. He's averaging over 18 fantasy points per game over 25 career games where he's played at least 73% of the offensive snaps. 2025 Week Winner, formerly known as the Heat Map. So you can conquer start-sit dilemmas, find plug-and-play streamers, and dominate your weekly matchups with this one-of-a-kind resource, Discord community, where you can get personalized advice from 180-plus and counting sharp fantasy football minds that are helping each other dominate. 365 days of elite fantasy football analysis, resources, and Discord community.
Let's go.
Yes, sir. What is up, everybody? Welcome to week 10. Welcome to the Basement Brood Fantasy Football, live fantasy football. We should probably come up with an actual name for the show. I mean, technically, I guess it's Inside the 20, but I feel like when we're doing it live, it's different than Inside the 20, right? A lot of times Inside the 20 is more of a recorded bit. So
that's fair.
I don't know.
You know, that's a fair call. That's a fair call.
Yeah. I thought so. So I texted Tanner just before the show, everybody, that this, I'm hoping, is going to be the Mikey Henninger flu game, much like the Michael Jordan flu game. I don't know what's been going on. I've been dealing with some virus over the last 2 weeks. I feel like I'm getting worse sometimes, not particularly better. So we'll see how long I last on today's episode, which, by the way, if you're coming back, if you've been here before, thank you for coming back. Welcome. And if you are new to the show, thank you for tuning in. Couple quick caveats that Tanner and I like to give out from the beginning is that if you're hoping that this is a quick hitting fantasy, start-sit fantasy football show, you give me two names and I rattle off a name really quickly, you should probably just keep scrolling because that is not going to be the case. Instead, I'm a big believer in giving you my full attention, giving you my full process, and basically doing everything that I possibly can to help you crush some of these start-sit decisions for week 10. So sometimes that gets a little bit long-winded because we're digging into every possible detail. So stick around if you like data, if you like science, if you like facts, if you like stats, because we're going to dig into plenty of those. But before we do, man, Tanner, your Chiefs going to get it done this weekend? Nope, because they're on bye. You can't lose this weekend.
Oh, hopefully we do. Hopefully we do. You get some rest in and get some much needed stuff.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I feel like
I had a quick question for you.
Do it.
Quick question for you. So Mikey has this week winner always posted by Thursday Night Football, right? Ready to go. Plenty of time to get your lineups done. Did Vidal break your "You're My Boy Blue" category, or is just that no matchups for that?
Because there's nobody in there.
Yeah,
dude, I'm telling you, the "You My Boy Blue" column, there's some Madden curse to it. It's wild how, and this is just fantasy football to a T. So for those of you who are new to the week winner, I'll show you what we're talking about in a minute. But there's a column that I'll place a player in if all of the data, 100% of the data suggests this dude is going to go nuts this week. There's literally nothing wrong with their week 10 outlook. And last week that was Keimani Vidal, who did absolutely nothing.
Zero.
So yeah, and I'll be honest, I'm typically very selective about putting somebody in there. And this week there was just nobody who checked all those boxes. Everybody has at least something that brings their outlook down a little bit. But yeah, man, I don't know. Maybe I should stop putting players in that column just for everybody else's sake.
Yeah, I just had to ask. There,
blank. Yeah, I'm just deleting it. I'm just going to delete that column. No, I can't do that. Yeah. All right, man. Right. Take it away, Tanner. I'm going to let you take the wheel here.
Paul Hoffman starts us out for the day. I appreciate it, Paul. Isaiah Davis or Alvin Kamara. Right off the bat, man. Right off the bat.
Man. How weird is fantasy football, dude? If you
So
if it's August, middle of August, and you're in the middle of a fantasy football draft, and somebody says Alvin Kamara or Isaiah Davis, you're like, what? Are you kidding me, dude? It's Alvin Kamara easily. And then week 10, it's like, oh God. I'm still going Alvin Kamara here just for the sake of quote unquote, and I hate this word, guaranteed touches. Isaiah Davis was one of my favorite rookies coming into the NFL last year. He has looked good over the last couple weeks. I stashed him everywhere I could in my fantasy leagues under the assumption that Breece Hall would get traded and Isaiah Davis would suddenly become the RB1, which obviously didn't happen. Breece Hall is still there, which goes back to the guaranteed touches thing, right? Isaiah Davis is not necessarily a sure bet for touches. And even if he does get, let's just say 10, 11 touches, which I think is a fair projection for his ceiling. I don't think you're going to see more than 10 or 11 touches for Isaiah Davis if Breece Hall is active. So if you give Isaiah, let's just say ceiling, he gets 10, 11 touches, he's going up against a Browns defense that's holding running backs to the second fewest PPR points per game. It doesn't set up very well for Isaiah Davis. He's positioned himself nicely lately as a bit of a pass catching, not specialist, but a pass catching threat for the Jets. But I mean, the spread on this game is 1.5 points. The Jets just don't. It's not like the Jets are going to have to throw the ball 40 times to hang around with the Browns, right? This game has a 37.5 point over under. Both teams have projected team totals under 20. It's going to be a defensive slugfest more than anything. There's just not anything about the situation for Isaiah Davis that would lead me to believe he's in a position to make it into fantasy football lineups. Alvin Kamara has not been pretty, but he is going to get the touches. He is going to get the volume. He is going to get the work. Saints are 5.5 point underdogs against the Panthers. You don't love that because you used to love that because Alvin Kamara would rack up 7 targets a game, but that's just not the case anymore. But still, he should. There's more touchdown or more volume potential for Alvin Kamara. The matchup is a little bit better. The Panthers are allowing the 15th most PPR points per game to opposing running backs. The Saints, I mean, it's not a pretty situation, Paul, and I wouldn't feel great about it either way, but there's still enough volume for Alvin Kamara for me to go Kamara over Isaiah Davis. Tanner, I don't know if you have any differing thoughts there.
It'd be hard to go the Isaiah Davis route, plain and simple.
Yeah, not this week.
Playing the Browns, it's the unknown of touches, right? Like I just can't do it. And I know Tyler Shuck is, a quarterback for the Saints, but
you got to go.
I think so. That's where I've heard a lot is Shuck.
Oh, all right. Good thing I heard you say it because I've always said Tyler Show.
That's what I've said. And I heard a bunch of people that I've been watching, or at least, shorts and stuff, say Shuck. So I'm going to go Shuck for a minute. So
I'm guessing you're right.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you. KJ Frederick, 838. Slayton, if the weather is good, or Pop Douglas, full PPR.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, this one is not this question. The Darius Slayton situation is annoying for me because I sent out an email alert, an email blast to all of my members, the Basement Brood Fantasy Football members. So one thing, we're going to share our screen here in a little bit. There's no need quite yet. What is that? We're going to share a screen here in a little bit. No need quite yet. But one thing we're going to be showing you is the week winner. Now, if you're new to the show, you'll see what we're talking about. But essentially, I do 20 plus hours of studying and research of every quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defense, and kicker every single week. And everything that I find, all of the research that I do gets put into this one compact resource called the week winner, which we'll show you in a minute. Now, typically when I find something specific or something special that I think my members will really care about, I will send out an email blast or an email alert or a Discord alert, letting them know about it. And one of those alerts this week was Darius Slayton, and how much it was an email that said, if you're in bye week hell or injury hell and you need to find a plug and play wide receiver option, check out Darius Slayton for a lot of different reasons. There's a lot to like about Darius Slayton. Now, the problem is the role that he plays for the New York Giants. He's a little bit of a, Wan'Dale Robinson handles a lot of the lower ADOT stuff. Darius Slayton handles some of the deeper targets.
Yep.
And you're playing in Chicago, where apparently there's going to be 20 to 30 mile per hour winds. It's not enough to be a death sentence for Darius Slayton, but it certainly lowers the excitement there at least a little bit. Now, on the flip side, Pop Douglas, he's been playing well, but the dude, he's not playing more than like 25, 26, 27% of the snaps every week. He's just not getting in there. That could absolutely change since they don't have Kayshon Boutte this week. However, when Boutte left the game last week, it wasn't Pop Douglas that got more playing time. It was their rookie, Kyle Williams, suggesting Kyle Williams is the guy who's going to see a boost in playing time, not Pop Douglas. Pop Douglas, theoretically, will play his normal role that he usually plays for the Patriots. So for me, in this one, I mean, you got the Patriots. They're in a shootout. That should be a shootout with the Buccaneers, or at least a nice, friendly fantasy football game. There should be plenty of points, plenty of yards, lots to like from a fantasy football standpoint. Nothing at all that's scary about the Buccaneers as a matchup. 15th most PPR points per game. But, I mean, you could say the same thing about Giants-Bears. In fact, it sets up even better on the Giants game, right? Giants-Bears is set up to be a possible shootout. The Bears are allowing the 6th most PPR points per game to wide receivers. I personally, if this was me trying to make this decision, I'm still going with Darius Slayton over Pop Douglas, even despite what it sounds like the weather will be. Tanner, I don't know if you have any other thoughts there.
For me, I mean, the weather's gonna be tough, but that game is shaping to be, what every Bears game is shaped up to be lately, which is the shootout potential for it.
Well, both teams don't have a defense really, so that creates
they don't
automatically.
They really don't. They really don't. It's all very favorable against each other here, and the Giants here. I mean, we know Scatterbo. They're trying to figure out their running back situation for some reason. Utilizing a bunch of guys there. So like you're going to have a bunch of spread around here. I was looking too. So I picked up Pop Douglas last week, very late, just before the noon hour. And we got a TD. TD was the upside, right? And that saved my week actually, for that one here. He's gotten only, 3 TDs. It's very sporadic here, but he did have a high of 4 receptions last week for the season. So, which was kind of nice in that matter. But now you're going to get
but that also tells you what. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, now you're going against Tampa Bay, which some of the betting I thought would be higher, honestly, for the numbers wise. But I mean, this game here, if New England is who they are, Tampa Bay is who they are. This could be a fun game. This could be a high roller. Because of the weather situation, I don't know how Dart's going to play with the weather. That lake effect weather coming into play here. Snow later tonight, so luckily they avoid the snow. But man, I lean towards Douglas in this one. Is where I would go, just because, like you said, Slayton, they haven't utilized his role very well.
Yeah. So the thing with me in fantasy football is always going to be volume and bankable volume. Where Pop Douglas, you said he had a high of 4 catches last week, but I think that tells you more about who he's been this season. That a high of 4 catches isn't. So he played 24% of the snaps last week, even despite Kayshon Boutte playing just 26% of the snaps. So his playing time didn't go up at all. He's seeing just 3. Where did it go? He is seeing just 3.3 targets per game. He has been scoring touchdowns lately, but it's just they're not putting him on the field. And I don't know why. Like the snaps for Patriots wide receivers this year is really weird. Like Stephon Diggs is only hovering around 50 to 55%, but Pop Douglas is just not on the field, whereas Darius Slayton is basically a full-time player for the Giants. He is getting about 6 targets per game. He's just a lot of people aren't realizing he's missed on a few deep shots lately, a couple that have been his fault where he just straight up dropped them. And that's like, obviously that's not a good thing for Darius Slayton, but think about how different his fantasy numbers would look if he just hauled that in. At least he's on the field. At least he's getting the targets. Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying, if he just catches it, right?
Catches it, man. Just catches it. And then you got the Bears. You got the Bears defense. They are allowing these. They're holding wide receivers to the 11th fewest catches, but the 7th most yards, 2nd most touchdowns, 6th most PPR points per game, and the most PPR points per catch, meaning they might not allow a ton of volume, but they allow a ton of efficiency. And that's Darius Slayton's game to a T. He's not supposed to be the 8-9 catch guy. He's supposed to be the 4 catch, 90 yards and a touchdown type of guy. And so the matchup plays into Darius Slayton's. The only concern for Darius Slayton is the weather. I'm a guy who doesn't put too much stock in the weather, like unless it's crazy weather. I'm more concerned about weather when it comes to kickers than wide receivers, but I'm just a little bit less excited about Darius Slayton than I was earlier in the week, but I'm still plenty excited about Slayton. So I personally would be going with Slayton on this one.
There you go. Slayton. If it's going to be a Slayton game, this is going to be the Slayton game. Ain't it?
I hope so. I got him. If it helps, KJ, I have Darius Slayton in plenty of my own lineups, and I have Pop Douglas in 0 of them. So if that helps.
There you go. Jordan, what's up, dude?
What's up, JP?
Happy Sunday.
All
right, here we go.
JP, because I was doing some work on Twitter and all that, like, oh, check out the show. And I went over to YouTube and it said 2 people were waiting for the show to start. And it was like an hour ahead of time. I was like, that's got to be Jordan. Jordan's just always like,
it's got to be Jordan.
It's got to be, he's just ready to roll.
Every Sunday. Jordan, what's up, dude? Jordan says he needs 2 full PPR. Kyle, Marks, Watson, Jordan, Mason. Save me, Mikey.
Oh my God.
That's a list.
I don't even, dude. Kyle Monangai, Woody Marks, Christian Watson, Jordan Mason. Oh Lord. I'm gonna let me pop up the let's go week. It's week winner time, I guess, man.
Let's get it situated here.
I tried to get as far as I could without diving into it, but sometimes
you did pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, what, 2 questions, I think?
Hey, all right, y'all. Oh, crap. Hang on.
All right, y'all. So if you've been here before, you know exactly what you're looking at, right? This is the week winner. This is the resource that I put together every single week for members of Basement Brood Fantasy Football. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of the show that I spend about 20 hours, and that's not an exaggeration. That's actually down from what it used to be. Shout out to Nick at Viz Consulting for helping me streamline some of my processes. But I'm not exaggerating when I tell you guys that I spend about 20 hours every single week studying every single quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defense, and kicker in every single game, every single week. And then I take what I've found, offensive trends, defensive trends, Vegas lines, game environment, everything that I've found in my research and my studying, I put into the week winner. One easy to access location. Okay. So if you're doing your weekly research every single week, you're trying to figure out edges to some of these start sit decisions. You don't have to hop all over the place to 9 different websites. It's literally just all packed into this one simple spreadsheet I put together every single week. If you're a member of Basement Brood Fantasy Football, you just automatically get this every single week. Otherwise, if you want to just test it out, there's a link over, I never know how to point, over there, or a QR code where if you go to wap.com/BBFF, you can get this thing for $2.99. Okay. This is less than the cost of a McDonald's double cheeseburger. Okay. 20 plus hours of research for a McDonald's double cheeseburger. Anyway, over on the left side, you're going to get all the game information, right? You're going to see every game, the over under, the spread, the implied point totals. These things are important because they tell us a story about what to expect from individual players in the game that they're in. So for example, Bills are favored by 9.5 points. That's a 2-score spread, very positive game script. The spread alone suggests this thing could turn a little bit run heavy for the Buffalo Bills or pass heavy for the Miami Dolphins as they're trying to catch up to the Buffalo Bills. Take a look at let's see here. Just trying to think of here's a good example. Seahawks Cardinals, right? Seahawks have an implied point total of 26 points, whereas the Cardinals have an implied point total of 19 points. That suggests to us that the Seahawks are projected for anywhere between 3-4 touchdowns. It's going to be a nice high scoring environment for fantasy football purposes. Cardinals are the opposite, fewer than 20 points, not expecting a lot of touchdowns there. Okay. That's where the color coding comes into play, why it's important for helping tell the story of what to expect from individual players in fantasy football. Last but not least, you have this column: quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, with a number underneath everyone. So you'll see the Raiders have a 4 underneath wide receiver. That tells you that the Raiders are allowing the 4th most PPR points per game to opposing wide receivers, whereas the Broncos are much, much better, much more difficult as a matchup. They're actually limiting wide receivers to the 4th fewest PPR points per game. They rank 29th in a good way. Over on the right side, any player that you possibly are considering for your lineup, all you have to do is double click on their name, and you're going to find every single thing that I've studied, researched, found over the course of my research during the week. So remind me, Tanner, Jordan, what's the first? Kyle Monangai. We'll start with Kyle Monangai. Thank you, sir. Now here's the thing. I'll pop this thing open here real quick. This situation it's frustrating for me personally because I have a ton of DeAndre Swift, and I had him in the blue column last week. Hold on. Let me explain these columns here real quick for anybody who has not seen the week winner. So we were joking earlier about the You My Boy Blue column. That's this one. This is the column that I place a player if all of the data suggests this dude is going to go crazy. Like, there's literally nothing wrong with his situation, with his matchup, with his game environment, etc. The green column, these are players that I would feel good about having in my lineup at any given time. Like, it's just everything sets up for them to have a above average day. These are players that I would feel good about having in my lineup for the week. The yellow column is exactly what it sounds like. Meh. I don't feel particularly good. I don't feel particularly bad. This guy's just in an average setup for the week. Then you got the orange column. I would not feel great about having these players in my lineup this week. And then red, well, you can read column F. You can read what that means. But typically these are players that I won't even consider for a fantasy football lineup this week in particular, which, by the way, I do have Isaiah Davis in here. But the dots tell you that these are players that you might want to stash on your bench before kickoff in case something happens to the guy in front of them, because they'll be a very popular waiver wire pickup. So Kyle Monangai, I do have in column D for now, but he does have a yellow dot, meaning he's trending towards the yellow column. Now, the thing with this whole situation is, prior to last week, DeAndre Swift was balling. Like, I don't think people realize he was having a great season. He was averaging 16 plus PPR points per game. He was scoring touchdowns almost every single week. And then, of course, he missed last week. Kyle Monangai came in, absolutely smashed. And now you got Ben Johnson making comments like, I'm a hot hand guy. I'm going to ride the hot hand, which makes you nervous as a DeAndre Swift manager, because who currently has the hot hand? That's Kyle Monangai after what? I think it was 198 scrimmage yards last week. But 2 weeks ago, DeAndre Swift had a very hot hand. The dude was balling, right? So it sounds like DeAndre Swift is going to play today. If he doesn't play, if he's a surprise inactive, Kyle Monangai is an automatic RB1. Okay. He belongs in your lineup if it's announced that DeAndre Swift won't play, but it doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. DeAndre Swift is going to go. That automatically makes Monangai a risky-ish RB3/flex, albeit with a ton of upside. Because if he's who Ben Johnson thinks has the hot hand and he gets, he was already pushing for about 50% of the snaps even before DeAndre Swift missed last week. Now, all of a sudden, you're giving him a chance to be the hot hand, continue the momentum. And when you look at how this game sets up for Monangai and the Bears running backs in particular, it's a really good spot to be in. For starters, we talked a little bit about this game possibly being a shootout. Bears-Giants could definitely go back and forth. The Bears have a really nice implied team total of 25.5 points. That suggests plenty of touchdown opportunity. So there should be scoring chances for the Bears. And then you look down at the matchup, and it's another terrific matchup, right? Last week, he got the Bengals, which are the worst defense in football when it comes to containing running backs. Literally, like statistically, they're the worst in football. This week, he gets the Giants, who are the second worst in football. The Giants are allowing the second most rushing yards to running backs, 16th most catches, 11th most receiving yards, 6th most touchdowns, second most PPR points per game, and they are allowing the most PPR points per touch to opposing running backs at 1.09 PPR points every time a running back touches the ball, theoretically. But what's kind of interesting about the Giants as a matchup in football, fantasy football, they've been a little bit boom or bust as a defense, right? That's usually not a term you use for defenses, but as bad as they've been against running backs statistically, there have only been four running backs in 9 games that have been able to reach 15 PPR points against the Giants. Now, all 4 of those guys were able to score 25 or more points against the G-men, right? So on the one hand, less than 0.5 running backs per game are able to get to 15, but on the other hand, when they do, they're absolutely smashing 25 or more PPR points. So it's the sort of thing where like it's a boom or bust type of situation for Kyle Monangai, right? There's no way we can guarantee the volume if DeAndre Swift is going to be active. Like at best, if DeAndre Swift is active, then at best we're projecting 10, 11, maybe 12 touches for Kyle Monangai. Now, against this defense, that hopefully should be enough to get 10, 11, 12, 13 points. Okay. So he's just not the same RB1 that he was last week. Then we got Woody Marks. Now, this game in general, where is it? Woody Marks, that's Houston. Oh, yeah, here we go. This game in general is a pretty nasty game. Texans-Jaguars is the over-under is just 38.5 points. Like it's pretty gross. Both teams are sporting bottom 8 projected team totals under 21. That suggests to us that this game is just going to be kind of gross from a fantasy football standpoint. Not a lot of touchdowns, not a lot of fantasy football fireworks, just very, I don't know, ugly from a fantasy football standpoint. Now Woody Marks over his last 6 games, he's doing fine. He's not quite pulling away from Nick Chubb the way that we were hoping he would. He's averaging 10.9 PPR points and about 12 touches per game. He scored fewer than 5 points in 3 of those 6 games, but he scored 12 to 15 points in 2 of them and a high of 27.9 in week 4. So he's very roller coaster. He's all over the place. He's the definition of boom or bust over the last 6 games. He's averaging about 0.89 PPR points per touch. He is on the RB3/flex radar. But the game environment, like we mentioned, brutal. The matchup against the Jaguars, that there have been just 4 running backs in 8 games that have been able to reach even just 9 PPR points against the Jaguars, despite 10 different running backs have handled double-digit touches against the Jaguars, but only 4 of them have been able to reach even just 9 PPR points. It's a tough spot for running backs. So I'm not feeling particularly great about Woody Marks this week. I have him projected for about 8 to 12 PPR points. Monungai, I have projected for about 8 to 12 PPR points. But between those two so far, I'm going to go with Monungai over Marks, and just we're betting on the upside there, right? We're betting on the opportunity to get more run than DeAndre Swift and crush with that opportunity. That's the hope in what we're going for with Kyle Monungai. I don't know if I'm going to make it very long. I am losing my voice, but we'll see what we got here. Christian Watson. I mean, it's hard to feel really good about Christian Watson this week in particular. Well, any week in particular. Now, the quote unquote good news is that Matthew Golden is questionable at best. If it's entirely possible, if not likely, he doesn't play this game, which would free up roughly 4 targets to be distributed elsewhere, but they might get Dontavian Wicks back. I don't know. They did lose Tucker Kraft, so that's going to free up about 5 targets per game. So there's going to be a little bit added opportunity for Christian Watson. That's the quote unquote good news for him. The game environment is fine. There's nothing that's particularly exciting or scary about this matchup. Now, the Packers are favored by 1.5 at home. They have a decent implied point total of 24 points. That is above average. It suggests plenty of touchdown opportunities. The matchup itself, I mean, the Eagles are a mediocre spot for wide receivers. I'm interested to see how this goes against Jair Alexander if he's going to be active, but so far the Eagles are a mediocre spot for wide receivers. They are limiting them to the 14th fewest PPR points per game. There have been 9 wide receivers in 8 games that have been able to score at least 10 points, but just 6 of them that have been able to score 15 plus points, and they scored 17 plus. It's just a very blah type of spot for Christian Watson. I have him projected for about 9 to 13 points, which I guess is technically higher than where we're at with Woody Marks and Kyle Monungai, but still, it's really tough to trust that. Jordan Mason, man, I know I can tell you right now that I have him on the bench in most of my leagues that I have him in. The game itself sets up better than I was expecting, right? They're playing against the Baltimore Ravens. I thought they would be 5-6 point underdogs against the Ravens, but it's not that bad. It's actually just a 3-point spread. That suggests a narrow spread. It suggests a neutral game script, a balanced offensive approach, and those things should keep Jordan Mason in play. The game does have a really nice over-under of 48.5 points. That suggests a sliver of shootout potential if the Vikings can simply exceed their modest scoring expectations. They're projected for about 22.5 points. That's very middle of the pack. That's very average, weekly. 22 is dead center for implied point totals. Now, Jordan Mason himself, he's played 4 full games with Aaron Jones now. He's averaging just 5.2 PPR points per game and 10.8 touches per game in those contests. And a big reason for that is Aaron Jones is the preferred pass catching back for the Minnesota Vikings. He's not very involved in the pass catching game. And Xavier Scott has stuck around as well to catch passes for the Vikings. Now, Aaron Jones is questionable with, I believe, a shoulder injury, if I'm not mistaken. But it sounds like he's going to play. There's always a chance that he gets knocked out of the game if he aggravates that shoulder injury. But still, man, Jordan Mason is averaging 0.48 PPR points per touch while Aaron Jones is around. Meaning if he touches the ball 20 times, he's not even getting you 10 points, which is wild. He's just I wrote here, he's a tough to stomach RB3/flex. Now, the matchup is great. The Ravens have been a pretty terrible defense all year. They are allowing the 12th most rushing yards, which is where Jordan Mason butters his bread. 4th most touchdowns, which is also where Jordan Mason butters his bread. fourth most PPR points per game, fifth most PPR points per touch. 11 different running backs in only 8 games have scored 10 plus points against them, 6 of which have scored 15 plus points. The matchup is fine. The game environment is fine, but it's it's him. It's him as a player that's been tough. So I have him projected for 6 to 9. Very nice PPR points, but I don't know, man. I can't in good faith put Jordan Mason in with those other options. Me personally, I'm probably just going Kyle Monangai and Woody Marks. Kyle Monangai and Woody Marks on this one. Like Christian Watson is always going to be as boom or bust as it gets for fantasy football. But Woody, let me say one last thing here. Woody Marks is going to be a safer, I hate that word, but a better floor. Let's say that. A better floor than Christian Watson. Almost solely because of guaranteed touches, right? Woody Marks is a pretty good bet for 10 plus touches, whereas Christian Watson, you never know. 2 catches sometimes. Now I think he'll do better than that, but still, if you're going for the floor play, let's go Monangai and Marks. If you want a little bit of ceiling, because we know Christian Watson can get you 80, 90, 100 yards on a touchdown, Christian Watson's going to be the ceiling play, especially if you think that Packers-Eagles game could shoot out. So, Jordan, I would say, I don't know what happened for you on Thursday Night Football. Hopefully your opponent had Bo Nix and Brock Bowers, so they're off to a terrible start or something like that. So if you need floor, or if you had Bo Nix and Brock Bowers and you need ceiling, or simply if you're projected to win or lose, use that to help determine if you're going for floor or ceiling. But hopefully that helps.
Wolf, thanks for getting through that one.
Man,
I feel you.
I don't know what was more brutal. That decision, like, I'm sorry, dude. That is a tough. That's a gross one. I don't know what's more brutal, that situation or whatever's happening with my chest and nasal area right now. It's crazy.
Don't you got a freeze up there or something like that? Isn't it like negative by now? You know, negative degrees.
There's snow on the ground for the first time this year, and we have a 6-month-old puppy that was like, "What is this?" Like he's never seen it before, so it's kind of cool. But the temperature wasn't too bad actually.
Oh man, it's 39 here, or no, 22. Sorry, it got low. It got low here, so don't like it. Don't like it one bit.
Yeah.
Lamonte.
Ooh,
Ward, Loveland, or Otten.
Dude, all right. Come on, man. Come on. Don't do this to me. Here's the thing, man. Tyler Warren is already one of those automatic start kind of guys. Wait a minute.
Agreed.
Tyler Warren kicked off 15 minutes ago.
The Spain game was today?
Is it Spain? Are they in Spain? Is that where they are?
I thought so. I thought that was the next.
I know it's an 8:30 game. I never paid attention to where it is. So Lamont, I don't know if you're watching this.
No.
Still, if you could try and drop another comment, let us know if you've already made this decision. But here's the thing, dude. Tyler Warren is one of those automatic start tight ends. But the 2 that you mentioned are 2 streamers that I love this week enough that I sent out notifications and alerts to my members this week. I said, if you're looking for a plug and play streamer, check out K. Dotton. Check out.
It's a Germany game.
Germany game. Okay. All right. Looks like he did. Yeah. All right. So let's dive into it. Now, I will say for anybody watching, if you have Tyler Warren, start him. Or I hope you started him. Otherwise, these 2 options are really, really good options. Now, Colston Loveland, I want to make it clear right off the beginning, there is absolutely bust potential here. Not with the player, but with this week. The reason for that, Cole Kmet sounds like he's going to be good to go. He's going to be play. So Colston Loveland went crazy last week, right? We all saw what he did. He literally won the game for the Bears. He played 81% of the snaps. He caught 6 of 7 targets, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. He scored dang near 30 PPR points. But Cole Kmet was knocked out of the game with a concussion, and Cole Kmet sounds like he will play this week, meaning there's no way for, unless reports break or unless reports have already broke that I haven't seen yet, because once I'm on the show, I can't really see anything that's going on. Unless we get some sort of report that Colston Loveland is now the official tight end number 1 for the Chicago Bears, there's absolutely a very real risk that he just returns to his 50% role and Cole Kmet resumes his role as the 80% guy going forward. But, whew, man, if he goes, and that's the thing too, is at some point the Bears will embrace the fact that they spent the 10th overall draft pick on Colston Loveland. Like, he is the number 1 tight end of the future. There's no denying that. There's no mistaking that. We don't know when that switch is going to officially happen. It certainly could be this week after what Colston Loveland did last week. I mean, he clearly provided a boost to that passing game. We already talked about the game environment. Giants Bears, this is typically a game that we want exposure to. The matchup itself, it's not anything that's exciting, but it's not anything that's scary either. The Giants have been pretty mediocre when it comes to fantasy football points and fantasy football production allowed to tight ends. They are allowing the 16th most catches. They're holding them to the 13th fewest yards, 16th fewest touchdowns, 14th fewest PPR points per game. All of those numbers are middle of the pack. None of it's scary. None of it's exciting. 4 different tight ends in 9 games have been able to score 11 plus PPR points against the Giants, 3 of which scored 16 plus. Now, that said, there have been 5 other main tight ends that came up short of 10 points. Some pretty notable names, right? We've seen Travis Kelce, Oronde Gadsden, Juwan Johnson, Evan Ingram, George Kittle. Those are some noteworthy names that came up short of 10 PPR points against the G-Men. But Zach Ertz, Jake Ferguson, Dallas Goedert again, those guys did pretty well. So ultimately, Colston Loveland is going to be like the boom or bust tight end of the week, theoretically, right? It's like, is he going to play 80 plus snaps? Because if so, he's a legitimate number 1 tight end. Is he going to play 50 snaps? Then he's very much on that mid-range tight end 2 type of range. But then you got Cade Otton. And Cade Otton is a guy that I think this is one that I sent out. Yeah, I sent out an alert. So this is another one of those situations where I sent out an alert to my members saying, hey, if you're in a pinch, you need a plug and play tight end, check out Cade Otton. He's available in most leagues. We talked a little bit about Buccaneers Patriots possibly being a shootout. So let's dive in just a little bit here. It has a 48.5 point over under, and both teams are sporting top 12 projected team totals. Okay. So typically if you have a high over under and both teams that are in the upper half, the upper echelon of projected scoring, those are the types of games that signal shootout. Those are the types of games that signal fantasy football fireworks, touchdowns, games that you want to target in fantasy football. So ultimately, this is a game we want to go after. The Buccaneers have a nice implied point total of 25.5 points. That's about the same as the Bears. Plenty of touchdown opportunity here, okay? Now, Cade Otton has been getting more involved over the last 4 games, and rightfully so, right? Chris Godwin's been out. Mike Evans is now out. It's pretty much just Emeka Egbuka. Tez Johnson looks great, and that's awesome. But Cade Otton is very much expected to step up and be a top 2, top 3 option in that passing game, and he's done well. He's averaging 10.9 PPR points. He's getting over 6 targets per game. That's a good rate for tight ends, by the way. And he scored 10 to 14 points in 3 of the last 4 games. He's just doing very well, very solid floor type of tight end 2 over the last few weeks. But then you got his matchup. The matchup is a really good one. The Patriots are allowing the 12th most catches, 9th most yards, 12th most PPR points per game. 6 different tight ends in 9 games have been able to score 11 plus points against the Pats, 4 of which, by the way, scored 15 to 18 points against the Pats. So you have a possible shootout, plenty of pass attempts. Cade Otton in a nice opportunity and a nice role where he should be plenty involved in the passing game, and a nice matchup against the Patriots. So for me, in this situation, I would go Cade Otton over Colston Loveland, he's going to bring a better floor than Colston Loveland, just based on that uncertainty I was talking about before. But he's also going to offer a similar ceiling just based on the game environment and the matchup. So I'm going to go Cade Otton here over Colston Loveland.
I would agree. I would agree with that one for sure. Yep, the Berlin game. My bad. I don't know why. I was thinking it was Spain. Must be in a couple weeks here. So
I never
let's see here.
Where for some reason. I just know it's 8:30. That's all I know.
That's all. Exactly. Derek Devereaux. What's up, dude? Good morning, friends. Need to choose between DJ Moore and Keenan Allen in a PPR league. He already has Gadsden in the lineup.
Damn. Keenan Allen. Wait a minute. Dude, Keenan Allen started so hot, and then he got so not. It's
because Justin Herbert remembered that he had Ladd McConkey, but he had to wait for Quentin Johnson to go out on an injury to figure that out.
Well, Ladd McConkey, but then Gadsden. Gadsden's been balling.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that Chargers offense, there's no shortage of weapons. They can go, and when they get Omarion Hampton back, woo-wee, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
But, dude, DJ Moore, he had a great week last week, but prior to that, oh, my God, it's been brutal. Let's dive in. Let's just do it. Let's week winner this bad boy. Plenty of talk about the Giants-Bears game. No need to do too much there. Let's talk about DJ Moore. Now, DJ Moore, he's getting about 11 PPR points per game in Ben Johnson's offense. He's seeing about 17.5% of the total targets. He's seeing about 5.5 targets per game. His floor, he's scoring about 8 or more PPR points about 75% of the time. Ceiling, he's scoring about 12 or more PPR points about 25% of the time. We're treating him as a boom or bust wide receiver 3 in this possible shootout. And here's the thing. He has a great matchup, right? The Giants are allowing the 6th most catches, 4th most yards, 15th most touchdowns, 8th most PPR points per game. 15 different wide receivers in 9 games have scored 10 plus PPR points. Now, we want more than 10, but 8 wide receivers in 9 games have scored 15 plus against the Giants. So it's a possible shootout. It's a great matchup. Now, I will say, I believe the Bears are now up to 5.5 point favorites last time I checked. 4.5 point favorites. So it's possible that if they can get ahead and stay ahead of the Giants, that they'll be able to keep the ball on the ground. They don't need Caleb Williams to throw 40 plus times, but I wouldn't bank on that. Then you got Keenan Allen, who, by the way, he's going to have a great matchup as well. He's been cooling off, though. That's kind of the problem. But I do have all of the Chargers wide receivers in the green column this week. Now, the game itself is just fine, right? It's nothing special, nothing spectacular. It's a very mediocre setup. Chargers are projected for about 24.25 points. That's still above average. That's not a bad thing. Keenan Allen is averaging 14 PPR points per game. He's getting 23.5% of the team's targets. He's averaging 8.3 targets per game, but he's been as boom or bust as it gets in fantasy football this year. He scored 17 plus points in 4 games, but he scored fewer than 9 points in 4 games. So he's either getting you 17 plus or fewer than 9. That's what you're getting here. Now, the matchup is even better than what we saw with the Giants. The Steelers are getting destroyed by wide receivers this year. They are limiting wide receivers to the 15th fewest. That's very middle. 15th fewest touchdowns, but they're bleeding the most catches. They're giving up 16.13 catches per game to wide receivers. The most yards, dang near 200. And the most PPR points per game. They're giving up 41 plus PPR points per game to wide receivers. Now, with the Chargers, you usually see, let's just say Chargers wide receivers do score 40 PPR points in this game. It's usually not going to be just one guy. It's usually going to be 2 of them. Not all 3 usually, but it'll be maybe Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen, or Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnson, or Johnson and Ladd McConkey. Who knows? But point is, plenty of opportunity in this matchup here. 12 different wide receivers in only 8 games have scored 10 plus PPR points against the Steelers. 10 of them. There have only been 8 games the Steelers have played, but 10 different wide receivers, so more than 1 per game, are scoring 15 plus PPR points against the Steelers. To me, it's too good of a matchup to ignore. I gotta go Keenan Allen here. It's too good of a matchup. DJ Moore has been both guys have been hit or miss, but DJ Moore's been more miss than hit. So I could regret this one, but I'm going Keenan Allen, especially with it being a PPR league.
Agreed. We got a few more comments for sure here, but let's take a minute. What do you want to do? You want to introduce our giveaways, BS Collectibles?
Wait, what giveaway? Are we doing a giveaway?
BS Collectibles. Like, do we want to present the ad?
Shout out. Let's definitely shout out BS.
Shout them out.
If anybody watching collects any sort of sports memorabilia, autographed jerseys, autographed helmets,
Amazing.
Doesn't need to be football. It could be, they do baseball bats. Some of their baseball bats are pretty sweet, but you guys got to check out BS Collectibles. In fact, I'm sure Tanner might have it queued up for you.
Here we go.
Are you into sports memorabilia? Then BS Collectibles is your one-stop shop for all things autographed. Whether you're looking to buy retail, stock up wholesale, or dive into the thrill of memorabilia breaks, BS Collectibles has what you need. Check out their retail website, join the live streams, or take a shot with the Fire Factory Mystery Box series and take your collection to the next level. BS Collectibles, whatever it is, we bring the fire.
Yeah, buddy. Those guys are great. Twin Lakes, Wisconsin, but they can ship anywhere. If you're new to the show, I do a giveaway of an autographed jersey every single month to members of Basement Brood Fantasy Football. And those are the guys that I work with, BS Collectibles. And it's pretty cool. When I do these jersey giveaways, it's not like, oh, hey, I came across this Rico Dowdle jersey. Whoever, you get to win it. It's, if you win the giveaway, you send me a list of 5 to 10 names. I work with them, and they basically go hunt down one of the jerseys on your list, and then we send it your way. It's pretty cool. See, point is, you get who you want, not just some random, hey, I came across this Jamari Thrash Browns jersey, and now it's yours, you know?
Exactly. It's not just a random,
right?
I don't want this anymore jersey.
Yeah, man. So this year alone, in the last 12 months, we've done Jamar Chase 2 times, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Earl Campbell, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Alvin Kamara, Kenneth Walker, Amon Green was in there.
Yeah.
There's been a bunch, but it's been pretty
awesome. It's been great.
Do you see? No, look at Scott Kobe's newest comment. The 9 a.m. one.
Cost you extra, Scott. Cost you extra.
Yeah, that one I can't afford. Sorry, guys. We got to keep it cheaper. Something like Jamar Chase. Okay?
Scott Cub. Scott, good to see you're up and at 'em for our show later. But appreciate you popping in here. Matt Stafford, Sam Darnold, or Drake May? It's a hell of a problem to have.
Yeah. So here's the thing, guys. Drake May is quietly entering every week QB1 territory. He's becoming one of those guys that if you have him, you start him, regardless of situation. But even if not, his situation, his situation this week is great. Like, we talked about the shootout with the Buccaneers. Nothing scary about the matchup. 16th most fantasy points per game. Matthew Stafford has been absolutely balling. Like, that's another thing. People don't realize this dude is a legitimate MVP candidate this year. Like, he is going crazy. But, I mean, yeah, he's got a nice matchup against the 49ers as well. But the Rams, this one I thought was weird, Tanner. Talking about betting. The Rams are 5.5-point favorites on the road against the 49ers. A couple of weeks ago, the Rams lost at home to Mac Jones and the 49ers. So it's weird. Like, I can understand them being favored, but 5.5 points on the road when you lost to the same team at home, I don't know. That's weird to me, but
it really is. It's a really interesting line that comes with it, you know, and it might be because they are without Warner this time. that could be a very possibility that they're looking at defensive side of things. So,
dude, listen, the 49ers won't catch too much sympathy from me. I'm a Packers fan through and through, but their injury reports this year are insane. Like, every time I have to write about the 49ers, it's a huge headache because it's like, is Ricky Pearsall going to play? Is Brock Purdy going to play? It's just George Kittle was out.
And they're
forever.
6-3, man. And they're 6-3. I don't get
Kyle Shanahan, man, he's top 5 coach. I'll never understand when I see 49ers fans call for Kyle Shanahan's firing because it's like, you guys don't know what you got there. Like, he's such a terrific coach, but
you could have Harbaugh back, I guess, and deal with the Kaepernick days when you stunk after the Super Bowl. So that'd be it.
Right. But I mean, Matthew Stafford's in a good spot here as well, right? They're projected for 27.5 points. There's a nice over-under on this one. Like, this game could shoot out as well. 49.5 point over-under. Both teams are projected for 22 or more. 49ers giving up the 11th most fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. It is a good spot for Matthew Stafford. And like I said, he has been balling. He's averaging 20.7 fantasy points per game. The thing that has me leaning, and Sam Darnold, by the way, perfectly fine QB2 streaming option, but there's no way I could play Darnold over these guys this week in particular. So we can eliminate him. The thing that has me going Drake May over Matthew Stafford is Drake May, also very similar, right? He's averaging more than Stafford, 21.2 fantasy points per game. But the key here is his 30 rushing yards per game. That, like, his rushing ability automatically gives him a better floor than Matthew Stafford, right? When you have a guy like Matthew Stafford that doesn't run for the ball, he has to get you a minimum of 2 touchdowns to pay off. Hopefully 3, hopefully 4. But if he doesn't get those, it's not going to pay off. Whereas Drake May, he could theoretically only get you 1 touchdown, but if he mixes in 30, 40 rushing yards, suddenly that's the equivalent of a passing, right? Most fantasy leagues, 4 points per passing touchdown. So if Drake May just runs for 30 or 40, that's the equivalent of a passing touchdown. So his floor is just better. Could be a shootout. Buccaneers shouldn't struggle to put points on the board. If the Rams are 5.5 point favorites and that remains true, if that comes true, that theoretically suggests Kyron Williams can run the ball plenty. They won't have to throw the ball as much. I'm going Drake May on this one.
I agree. You also had Debo versus Parker Washington in PPR.
Yeah, I think you got to go. You still got to go Debo here. I do like Parker Washington as a plug and play option, but he does like. The only thing we really like about Parker Washington is his opportunity, right? He's theoretically the de facto wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville this week because there's no Brian Thomas, there's no Travis Hunter, there's no Brenton Strange. Jacoby Myers has only been in town for like 4 days. The problem is that game is disgusting. Jaguars, Texans, 37.5 point over under. Neither team is projected to score 20 points. The Texans are holding wide receivers to the 3rd fewest PPR points per game. Like, they just don't allow much production to wide receivers. So he's fine if you're in a pinch, but if you have Deebo Samuel, you're not in a pinch. Deebo Samuel is in a perfectly fine spot here this week for the Detroit against the Detroit Lions. Like, the Lions are allowing the 9th most PPR points per game. Actually, yeah, let me pop up the week winner here right quick. What we like about Deebo Samuel this week, actually, there's a lot that we like about Deebo Samuel. Number one, the Commanders are entering this game as desperate 9-point underdogs. And that sounds like a bad thing when I say it that way. But for somebody who catches passes for a living, being 9-point underdogs isn't necessarily a bad thing. Because theoretically, if the Lions jump all over the Washington Commanders, like Vegas sportsbooks seem to think that they will, the Washington Commanders are going to have to throw the ball 35, possibly 40 plus times just to stay in contention. And then you think there's no Terry McLaurin, there's no Noah Brown, there's Deebo Samuel, Zach Ertz, and then a bunch of nothing. Even Luke McCaffrey now is on injured reserve. So targets should not be hard to come by for Deebo Samuel. He should get as many targets as he can possibly stomach. He's already seeing 26.3% of the targets, and he should get more because if the Commanders are going to be throwing the ball 35, 40 plus times, he should be in line for 8, 9, possibly double-digit targets. And then you got the matchup. The Lions are a friendly matchup for wide receivers. They are allowing the 14th most yards, 3rd most touchdowns, 9th most PPR points per game. 10 wide receivers in 8 games have been able to get at least 10 points.
Here you go, Scott. All right. We got Bryce Lawn. A little streaming here for defenses.
Yeah.
Rams, Panthers, Ravens. Which defense are you looking at?
Let's do it. Let me flash up. Yep, you got it. So, so in the week winner, every single week, we've been hanging out on this tab, this pretty color-coded tab, right? But you'll see on the bottom, there's other tabs, right? I have a touchdown regression tracker. This is basically just a quick cheat sheet, a quick reference guide that shows you mathematically, pure math. This isn't like my gut or anything, pure math, which players are quote unquote due to score a touchdown or 2 touchdowns sooner rather than later. Like Alec Pierce, for example, is overdue. This guy has 501 scrimmage yards and not a touchdown to show for it. And you think about the role that he plays in the Colts offense, there's going to be a touchdown. Like he's due for touchdown. He's a positive touchdown regression candidate. So this is a nice little cheat sheet reference guide for anybody who's looking for like darts on anytime touchdown scorer betting opportunities, etc. I have a team projections team sheet or cheat sheet that just shows you which teams are projected to score the most amount of points. This usually helps with DFS if you're trying to build stacks around the Bills or the Lions or the Colts or the Rams. And then for this question, I have a streamers and stashes tab. So over on the right side, we got wide receivers to keep an eye on because they are wide receivers that could have a large second half of the season if things break right for them. Running backs to stash on your bench before kickoff. One of my favorite practices that I preach to my members every single week is, hey, before kickoff, if you have bench space, add these guys, right? Imagine if you had Brian Robinson on your bench and something happened to Christian McCaffrey in week 10. Suddenly you just got the #1 waiver wire claim without having to use your waiver wire priority. You just got him for free. Stash him, stash Chuba Hubbard in case something happens to Rico Dowdle, Tyler Algier in case something happens to Bijan, etc. Quarterback streamers if you need to find a quarterback this week. Tight end streamers if you need to find a tight end this week. Kickers. By the way, over the last since week 1 of last season, 2024, I have been working on a research project to identify kickers that will score 11 or more fantasy points every single game. I won't necessarily give away the recipe. The recipe is underneath here. Down here, you can start seeing the comments of what it is. BBFF members know the deal, but we've definitely found some trends that successfully identify kickers that are going to score 11 or more fantasy points in their upcoming game. And it's always kind of funny, right? Because I'll just randomly pick up like Will Reichard for the Vikings and people will be like, what the heck? And suddenly he scores 14 points. It's pretty fun. And then anyways, for the question that we're here to answer, right? The defenses, a defensive streamers cheat sheet. You'll see that I am all about the Carolina Panthers as a streamer this week going against Tyler Tyler, what is it? Tyler Shuck?
Shuck.
Okay, Tyler Shuck. That sounds so weird, but all right.
It does.
I don't mind the Browns, but I would much rather go with, and I'm not going to go with the Ravens either. I don't mind the Ravens, but you have a really, really strong streamer. I mean, Denver was my #1 streamer, and we saw what they did on Thursday Night Football. I'm going Carolina with this one, and I feel good about it. Sorry, Derek Devereaux. I know I'm bad-mouthing your Saints inadvertently, but we're going Carolina Panthers there.
Scott does say earlier we had a conversation about Pop Douglas here. He's in New England today. It could be the day Kyle Williams breaks out in the pass funnel of Tampa's defense.
Yep. So Kyle Williams is one of those guys that I have on that streamers and stashes tabs for wide receivers. I have him. Yeah, he's on here. The 5th name on here. So I would love to see it, man. I was all about Kyle Williams coming into the year.
Josh Goad, Addison, JMO, or Tyron Chersey. Man, I am so out on Tracy right now. You have no idea after last week.
Yeah, it's ugly. Hold on. Before I answer this, I just saw Scott Cobb's 9:10 a.m. comment, and I just want to celebrate it. You see that? Alec Pierce, he got number one player on the touchdown regression list, and there it is. He's already got a touchdown, it sounds like. I love it, dude. I love when that stuff hits. I was 1 week too soon. I actually went on the record last week and I tweeted, this is Alec Pierce is scoring a touchdown today. He didn't, but he had 13 targets and like 106 yards or something like that. So I'm like, all right, I missed, but he had a big week. So did I really miss? I don't know. I mean, I guess he didn't do what I said he would do, but he still smashed. Anyway. All right, going back to this one. Jordan Addison, Jamo Williams, Tyron Tracy. Yeah, man, Tyron Tracy, it's hard to – I don't really want any of the Giants running backs right now until either Tracy or Singletary separates from the other. I'll tell you what, I really need to get a drink of water. So if anybody, if you're watching, you like what you're seeing with the week winner, anybody – that's watching or even not watching can get access to this. It doesn't need to be me reading it to you, right? Take advantage of the 20 plus hours of research that I do every single week. Use this for your start sit decisions, use it for your prop bets, use it for your DFS lineups. Anybody can get access to this for $2.99. I'm asking you to buy me half of a beer, buy me a cheeseburger from McDonald's. Scan how do I do it? See that QR code over above Tanner's head, or like last week's, people are like, dude, I'm watching on my phone, I can't scan the QR code. Just type in WHOP.com/BBFF and you get it for $2.99. I promise you it's worth it. If it's not, if you buy it and you hate it, tell me and I'll refund your money. Okay. Tanner, and by the way, a whole nother thing here real quick. If you like what you see and you'd rather not just do the week winner and you want to be a member of the Basement Brood Fantasy Football family, there's a lot more than we do than just the week winner. You also get access to our Discord server. You get access to those monthly jersey giveaways that we were talking about. During draft season, you get access to my draft guide. You can do all of that. It's either $69 for the entire year, or you can sign up if you enter promo code YouTube, all one word, all capitalized, I think. You're going to get 50% off a monthly membership. So it's $9.99 per month. So Tanner, why don't I grab a drink of water? Why don't we fire up the BBFF
big ad? Here we go.
Promo? I don't know. Yeah.
Promo. I like promo. All right, here we go.
What's up, my fellow fantasy football nerds? If you're looking to dominate your league from start to finish and win cool prizes along the way, it's time to join the Basement Brood Fantasy Football family. As a member, you're going to get our brand new 2025 Draft Dominator, which is your ultimate guide with tiers, rankings, and season previews for over 280 players to make sure you walk out of your draft with the best team in the league. And that's only the beginning. You're also going to get our 2025 Week Winner, which gives you contextual matchup analysis for every single player in every single game, every single week, so that you can conquer those difficult start-sit dilemmas and dominate your weekly matchups. And let's not forget our amazing Discord community, which is a family of passionate fantasy football players sharing strategy, workshopping dilemmas, and helping each other dominate 24/7, 365. Plus, if that wasn't enough, every single month you're automatically entered into our autographed jersey giveaway. It truly is a no-brainer if you want to take your fantasy game to the next level, have the most fun you've ever had playing this game, and support a small but mighty business along the way. Sign up today for just $69 for an entire year. Seriously. That's 365 days of total domination, community, and giveaways for less than your last bar tab. Join the BBFF family right now using the link that we left for you in the description of this episode. I'll see you inside.
La la la
There
la
she
la.
is.
Okay, I think we're
Better?
good.
Better?
Maybe a lozenge and a cough drop. I got to go to the doctor tomorrow, man. I don't know what's going on here. It's driving me nuts.
Get rid of it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. Something about Jameson Williams, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm getting back to it. There it is.
Addison, JMO, Tyrone, Tracy. All right, let's start out with Jordan Addison. A little bit of a red flag on Jordan Addison. Didn't love what we saw from him in his first game with JJ McCarthy. Always try not to overreact to just one game. Look, I'm just generally down on the Vikings passing offense with JJ McCarthy under center. I'm doing this off the top of my head, but if I'm not mistaken, JJ McCarthy has thrown 20 pass attempts, 21 pass attempts, and 25 pass attempts. They are doing everything that they can to limit the amount of times he has to put the ball in the air, and it's impossible for wide receivers to score fantasy points if you're not going to throw the ball. Now, this week, they're probably not going to have a choice. They're going against the Baltimore Ravens, 3.5-point underdogs, likely going to be trailing, going to have to put the ball in the air. This might be the first time that we've ever seen JJ McCarthy throw 30-plus passes. Wasn't a great start for Jordan Addison. 2 of 4 targets, 64 scoreless yards, 8.4 PPR points. He did see 16% of JJ McCarthy's targets. That's not terrible. It's not great. Usually we want to see 20% or more. It's definitely not enough if JJ McCarthy is going to throw less than 30 passes. It's not enough. Now, what we do like about Jordan Addison this week is the matchup. Okay, the Ravens are allowing the 4th most catches, 8th most yards, 5th most touchdowns, 3rd most PPR points per game. There have been 15 different wide receivers in just 8 games, almost 2 per game, that score at least 10 points against Baltimore, 6 of which have been able to score at least 16 points. It's a good matchup. It's a good spot to be in. The only thing we need for Jordan Addison is volume. You think about the game environment, right? The Vikings are 3-point underdogs. They do have a mediocre projected team total of 22.5 points. That's an average amount of touchdown opportunity. Honestly, the hope here for Jordan Addison is that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens take off early and put plenty of points on the board and force the Vikings to throw the ball more than 30 times. That's what we need to happen. If JJ McCarthy is going to throw it more than 30 times, Jordan Addison's got a great matchup to do some damage. Okay. Jamison Williams. That's game number 11, Detroit. Jamison Williams. We talked a little bit about the Commanders side of this game. The fear here for Jamison Williams and the passing attack for the Detroit Lions is that this game could be one of those where Jared Goff doesn't even have to throw the ball 30 times. The Lions are 9-point favorites. That suggests it's 2 scores, right? So that suggests positive game script, possible run heavy game script, right? If the Lions are
Mikey,
yo,
just FYI, this line has dropped down to 7.5 now.
the Lions game did?
Yeah. I got it at 7.5 late last night.
Somebody get. Oh, see, I updated it.
Yeah, I didn't see why, but yes.
See, I updated it this morning. I'm checking draft. I usually like to use DraftKings Sportsbook.
Fanatics says 7.5. DK has an 8.5.
8.5. Yeah. So yeah, it's
DK.
definitely going in the other direction. I don't know if that's confidence in the Commanders or if there's an injury on the Lions side that I'm not sure about, but even still, I mean, that's a high enough spread that it still suggests a run heavy approach, at least in the second half of the game. And Jamison Williams, man, it has not been pretty, as we all know, right? He's averaging 9.3 PPR points per game. He's seeing 15.6% of the targets. He's as boom or bust as it possibly gets. Now, the matchup is mouthwatering. Like, the Commanders are allowing the 13th most catches, 2nd most yards, 7th most touchdowns, 5th most PPR points per game. 14 wide receivers in 9 games have gotten 10 points, 6 of which have gotten 15-plus points. It's a really, really good spot. The Lions are projected to score dang near 30 points, so that suggests plenty of touchdown opportunity for Jamison Williams. it's a sort of thing where Jordan Addison is theoretically going to bring you a safer floor just because Jameson Williams basically doesn't have one. He doesn't have a floor. But Jameson Williams there's going to be more touchdown upside for Jameson Williams. And they've talked recently about trying to get him more involved in the offense, etc. Personally, for me, I'm more confident in Jordan Addison's target potential than I am Jameson Williams' target potential. And for that reason alone, I would likely lean Jordan Addison. But if you're going for ultimate upside, like you really need to get 15 plus points out of this position, then Jameson Williams is going to be your guy there. Tyron Tracy or pretty much anybody on the Giants running back in particular. The problem is they both have really good matchups. Like Tyron Tracy and Devin Singletary have really good matchups. The Bears are not good against running backs, but last week, Devin Singletary played 56% of the snaps. He had 10 touches. Tyron Tracy played 44% of the snaps and had 8 touches. There's just no way to trust either one of these guys.
Tyron Tracy was behind, if I recall right, because I had a bet out on this guy last week. That's why I know. And playing fantasy football, he was at the bottom of like 4 or 5 people. If you look at the stats of box score, Tyron Tracy.
Oh yeah,
nothing.
Dude, it was real bad. It was real bad.
So
I remember
bad.
somebody tweeting, and I don't remember who it was, but I will say that I follow reputable people. Although I should take that back because Twitter always shows me stuff from people that I'm not even following, which is really annoying. Because like, what's the point of following? Like, I don't know. But anyway, I do remember somebody saying statistically, this is one of the worst games we've seen from a running back in a long time. And they're not talking about like rushing yards, They're talking, it was a efficiency metric. I wish I would have captured it. Anyways, I got Jamo Williams projected for 8 to 13 PPR. I got Jordan Addison projected for 10 to 14 PPR. Tyron Tracy for 9 to 13. So yeah, that confirms what I was thinking. I personally am going Jordan Addison on this one.
Yeah, me too. Me too, for sure. Set up more of a pass game for Addison than this GMO.
Agreed. And I don't know if this is PPR or not, but if it is, that's even more Jordan Addison. If it's standard, then maybe Jameson Williams, but
yeah,
it's just PPR. Yeah.
Darnold or JJ?
Is Baltimore's defense good? So here's what's funny about Baltimore's defense. If I'm thinking of the right one, I'm just pulling it up on here we go. I'm pulling up the week winner right now. So check this out here. Now this is a good example of that 20 hours of research that I was telling you that I do, right? It's really easy to just look at the surface level numbers, right? You could easily just look at this and say, the Ravens are a good matchup for quarterbacks because they're allowing the 9th most fantasy points per game, right? It's really easy to say that. I always want to dig as deep as I can into these numbers. And that's the whole idea. That's the whole point behind the week winner. This is meant to give you these little edges that your competition does not have access to. The Ravens look like a great matchup for quarterbacks, right? These are true. They're technically allowing the 6th most passing yards, 10th most passing touchdowns, 9th most rushing touchdowns, 9th most fantasy points per game. This is true that they are allowing 19.4, 19.5 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. But when you look at the individual performances, those numbers lie a little bit. They don't lie because they're technically true, but they're misleading. That's a better term. The Ravens have played in 8 games. And again, they're allowing the 9th most fantasy points per game, but just 3 of them, just 3 quarterbacks in 8 games have been able to reach even just 13 fantasy points against the Ravens. Josh Allen, who is going to do that to anybody. Patrick Mahomes, who is going to do that to anybody. And CJ Stroud, who apparently had a really good day. Okay. All three of those guys scored 27 plus fantasy points. That's what's skewing the numbers to make it look like the Ravens are this mouth-watering matchup for quarterbacks, right? Those three guys are bringing the average down significantly. Meanwhile, there have been 5 other quarterbacks in the 8 games that failed to reach 13 fantasy points. Joe Flacco, Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, who's had a great year, Caleb Williams, who's been good, Tua Tagovailoa, who's been solid. So that's why it's always important to dig deeper into the details. Don't just I know Yahoo, for example, will say, oh, the Ravens allowing the 9th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. You got to dig a little bit deeper. And that's what the week winner is all about. Me personally, if I'm looking at a guy like JJ McCarthy, he's more likely to land in this bucket than in this bucket. Okay. Now Sam Darnold, it was Sam Darnold, right? That was the other one.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. Now Sam Darnold, there's nothing that's particularly exciting about his setup this week, just to be clear. Like, I'm not trying to dog on JJ McCarthy. The thing is that the Seahawks have a much better projected team total than the Vikings do. They have a projected team total of 26 points this week. They theoretically should be able to take care of business against the Cardinals. Sam Darnold's having a really good first season with the Seahawks. He's averaging dang near 18 fantasy points per game. Really nice floor, by the way. He's getting you 15 plus fantasy points 75% of the time. Nice ceiling. He's getting you 22 plus fantasy points 25% of the time. There's nothing that's exciting about the matchup. The Cardinals are very mediocre when it comes to quarterbacks. All of these numbers that you see are very middle of the pack, right? 11th, 15th, 11th, 10th. They're ultimately allowing the 10th most fantasy points per game, 15.4. 4 quarterbacks in 8 games have been able to score 14 fantasy points, 2 of which have been able to score 17 plus. The names that came up short are Spencer Rattler, not much of a surprise. Mac Jones, not too much of a surprise. Cam Ward, not a surprise. Jordan Love, that one's a little bit surprising. So for me, it's going to come down to that. It's going to come down to that projected team total and the greater sample size of Sam Darnold having a better season. JJ McCarthy's been a little bit up or down. We still don't know yet who JJ McCarthy is. Me personally, I'm going with Sam Darnold here. Now, I will say this. If you want to aim for ceiling at the risk of a lower floor, you could make that argument for JJ McCarthy. Sam Darnold is one of those guys where it's like, we know what we're getting, right? It's 15, 16, 17 fantasy points. JJ McCarthy, he has gotten 20 plus fantasy points in games this year. It's just, he could also get you 10 fantasy points if he implodes against Baltimore. So if you're going floor, Darnold. If you're going ceiling, McCarthy.
I thought it was an interesting stat here. So look at yesterday at this game, at Sam Darnold particularly, at home, he's only met his prop line, which is currently at 257.5. He's only met that one time. And that is against week 5 in Tampa Bay. New Orleans, or San Francisco game week 1, he only threw for 150. Week 3, 218. And Houston, 213. I mean, he's going to get you your 10. Yeah, Darnold. Yeah, your 10 points, but your 10, 15 points, but that might be it. It's apparently Seattle on the road is a much better team than Seattle at home. So
interesting.
I don't know. It was interesting. I listened to a few podcasts in the morning, getting ready for betting and stuff like that, and they brought it up. Yeah. So just kind of an interesting take on Darnold. That is. I think one thing that could actually improve that, they just traded for Rashid Shaheed, who is going to add that's going to add a deep threat element to that offense. Now you could always argue, and you could always argue that he's brand new to the offense. It's going to take him a while to learn the playbook. That could be true, but you got to realize that he's reunited with Kubiak, who is his offensive coordinator with the Saints, meaning it shouldn't be that difficult of a transition to the Seahawks playbook. The terminology is going to be what's different, but
the schemes for the most part are what's going to be the same. So it's going to be
Yeah.
Sam Darnold could hit some bigger plays now with Shaheed in tow as well.
Forgot about Shaheed's transition there, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
fun to
I mean,
see.
I'm not necessarily expecting the world in week 10 right away, but it should help Sam Darnold, if nothing else.
Agreed. All right, it's the 9:30 mark, Mikey. Where we at? What are we feeling?
Let's try some rapid fire if you're cool with it.
Let's do it. Here we go. Greg Quirk. Greg, what's up, man?
JQ.
Morning, gents. Mac Jones, Mariota, or Brissett?
I don't want to. I should have just ended the show when you gave me that opportunity there,
You just
Tanner.
said, never mind.
Never mind. You know what we need to do? We need to hire a third person that filters out the ones I don't want to do. All right. We got to go. I have to go week winner. I don't have a choice. I can't do this one off the dome. All right, let's start with Mac Jones because I'm staring right at him. Here's what I will say. I have had to make this exact decision a couple times in a couple different leagues, and this won't help you at all. I've dispersed my portfolio a little bit. I did Mac Jones somewhere, Marcus Mariota somewhere. Who was the other one? Oh, Jacoby. I did not go with Jacoby Brissett in any leagues this week, except for leagues where I have to. I have one Superflex league, Sausage Fest, where I absolutely have to use Jacoby Brissett. I don't have a choice. But I forgot what I was going to say there. Anyway, Mac Jones. Now, we like the game environment here, right? 49ers, Rams. This game could turn into a high-scoring game. 49.5 over-under. Both teams have a top 12 projected team total. 49ers have an above-average team total of 23 points. Mac Jones is doing fine as the 49ers quarterback. He's averaging 15-plus fantasy points per game. He's getting 12-plus 75% of the time, 20-plus 25% of the time. He did score 22.2 points against the Rams back in week 5, which is noteworthy because the Rams are a tough matchup. There's no denying it. They're tough on quarterbacks. They're holding quarterbacks to the 16th fewest passing yards, 8th fewest passing touchdowns, 13th fewest rushing yards, 7th fewest fantasy points per game. They're giving up less than 15 fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. There have been just 3 quarterbacks in 8 games that have been able to reach even just 12 points against the Rams, but Mac Jones is one of them. He did it already. So we don't like the matchup for Mac Jones, but we do like his game environment and the possibility of that shooting out. Now, Marcus Mariota is kind of similar in that he has been he's done well in his limited opportunity with the Commanders. He is averaging 15.9 fantasy points per game in 3 games this year where he threw 21 or more passes. He also entered the season, by the way, averaging 16 plus fantasy points per game in 68 career games that he's thrown at least 20 passes. So we know over the course of his career, greater sample size, that he can put up fantasy points. He scored, he had 1 full game with the Commanders last year, and he scored 19.6 fantasy points. So he does well in that offense. He's done well as a fantasy football quarterback. What we don't like about this for Mariota, what we don't like about his fantasy football outlook this week is that the Commanders are in a subpar environment, right? They are projected to score just 20 fantasy points. They're 9-point underdogs. It's just the type of game where Marcus Mariota, he theoretically is going to have to butter his bread on passing yards and rushing yards, hopefully. And when the Commanders score, which it feels like it'll be few and far between, it needs to be Marcus Mariota involved, whether it's a rushing score, a passing touchdown. It can't be the running back scoring the touchdowns for the Commanders. The matchup is friendly. The Lions are allowing the 13th most fantasy points per game. 6 different quarterbacks in 8 games have scored 15 plus, 2 of which have scored 20 plus. It's a good spot matchup wise for Marcus Mariota. I have him projected for 14 to 19 fantasy points, where I have Mac Jones projected for 15 to 19 fantasy points. So a smaller range there. And then Jacoby Brissett, he has been, what game is that? That's game number 10. He's been, I shouldn't even say solid. He has been awesome as the starting quarterback for the Cardinals, which is why Kyler Murray is now on injured reserve, even though it looked like he was about ready to come back. Jacoby Brissett is averaging 22 plus fantasy points per game. He scored 20 plus points in all 3 games that he started for the Arizona Cardinals. He had a high last week of 24.8. The problem is the game environment, right? The Cardinals are entering this game as 6-point underdogs, low implied total of just 19 to 20 points. The Seahawks are a mediocre matchup against against quarterbacks, holding them to the 11th fewest fantasy points per game. 5 quarterbacks in 8 games have scored 15 plus fantasy points. It's just a very mediocre matchup. I got Brissett projected for 17 to 21, which, if I'm not mistaken, that was actually more than 15 to 19. So the issue that I have with taking Jacoby Brissett over Mac Jones is the projected team total, right? The Cardinals have a projected team total under 20 points. Typically, that type of environment is really difficult for a quarterback to score a lot of fantasy points without rushing statistics, right? Guys like Justin Fields could have a low team total, but if he's going to run for 60 yards, it doesn't even matter. That's not going to be Jacoby Brissett. So to me, it's a coin flip between Jacoby Brissett and Mac Jones would be my other choice. I try not to make statements like this because you guys know that I want to keep it focused on data, stats, facts, numbers, and not my gut, my opinion, the way that I think. I personally think that Cardinals Seahawks matchup could shoot out a little bit. I think Jacoby Brissett has shown that he's plenty capable of putting more than 19.5 points on the board. I'm okay with leaning in Brissett's direction here. But I will say in my own leagues, I rolled with Mac Jones over both those guys. So hope that helps. I personally have gone with Mac Jones, but it's very, very close, Greg. I don't feel it's like one of those 51 to 49% sort of deals. I'm banking on that Rams 49ers game shooting out a little bit. That's ultimately what I'm banking on happening.
Yep. There you go.
One
good.
Sorry, one last thing I want to say is that 49ers Rams game a couple weeks ago, Mac Jones scored 22 plus fantasy points, and if I'm not mistaken, he didn't have George Kittle or Jawan Jennings. He did that with Kendrick Bourne and Christian McCaffrey, and that's basically it. So anyway,
there you go. Let's see here. We'll keep going here for a minute. Flex spot, full PPR, Addison, Jennings, or Johnston, or ETN. Holy cow.
Oh, no. I'll tell you right now that I do like... Shoot, dude. It's going to be hard for me to bench Quentin Johnson against the Steelers. Same reasons that we talked about earlier with the Keenan Allen question. The Steelers they're the worst in football.
Torched.
Against wide receivers. They're literally the worst against wide receivers. So it's hard to bench Quentin Johnson. He's averaging 14 plus PPR points. He's getting 18 to 19% of the targets. Ooh, Drake London touchdown. I love to see that.
Nice.
He's averaging 6.5 targets per game. We know about he's very boomer bust. We know that with Quentin Johnson, right? He had 0 points a couple weeks ago, but he's also been able to score 24 plus points in 10% of his games. So he's a boomer bust wide receiver too. Ryan, if you need ceiling this week, it's Quentin. Like Quentin Johnson's got the highest ceiling out of any of these guys for sure. Like if Aaron Rodgers can keep that game competitive and the Chargers keep throwing the ball, Quentin Johnson could score 2 touchdowns. Like that's definitely in the realm of possibility this week. Jordan Addison, we talked about plenty. I do like Quentin Johnson more than I like Addison just based on the sheer ceiling that he can bring. I do like Jawan Jennings this week. We talked about the game environment, so I won't spend too much time there. Juwan Jennings, he hasn't done too much this year, but he's averaging 10 PPR points per game, 6 targets per game. He's had some better weeks, 19.9 points in week 2, 14 points last week. He's also had some not great games with under 9 points in the other 3, but he is operating as the team's wide receiver 1. The Rams have been a pretty friendly matchup for wide receivers. They're allowing the 13th most PPR points per game. 10 wide receivers in 8 games have scored 10 plus, 6 of which have scored 15 plus. It's a good spot for Juwan Jennings. Like, if this game shoots out, if they have to pass the ball a lot, Juwan Jennings should be able to put up numbers. Still, there's no way Quentin Johnston's ceiling, I can't emphasize enough. Like, I know the floor is scary, and it's just like, he could get you 0. That's a realistic thing. But man, Quentin Johnston could get you 25 this week as well. And then we have the safest option of the bunch, which is Travis Etienne, right? I mean, the floor, he's easily the safest floor option for out of everybody that you listed here. The game is we're expecting a balanced offensive approach, very neutral game script. It's just a 1.5 point spread. We're not expecting either team to run away with it. So Travis Etienne theoretically should stay plenty involved. He's doing fine as the RB1 this year. He's averaging 13.5 PPR points. He's averaging 68.3% of the backfield touches, 17 plus touches every single game. That plus 3.4 targets. That's what gives him that safe floor compared to those other guys we've listed. Now, he scored 11.6 PPR points on 16 touches against the Texans back in week 3. The problem for ETN is that we're not expecting much efficiency because the matchup is difficult, right? The Texans are tough on running backs, holding them to the 8th fewest rushing yards, 9th fewest catches, 12th fewest receiving yards, 11th fewest PPR points per game, ultimately the 16th fewest PPR points per touch. Now, 7 different running backs in 8 games have been able to reach at least 10 PPR points, but just 3 of them have been able to get to 15. So he's kind of the opposite of Quentin Johnston. It's safe floor, theoretically lower ceiling. Quentin Johnston's going to be the low floor, high ceiling. So Ryan, I would take a look at your the projections of if you're expected to win, if you're expected to lose, take into account what happened on Thursday Night Football, if that sets you up to win or lose. If you need floor, it's Travis Etienne. But if you need ceiling, Quentin Johnston has a lot of ceiling this week. The problem is Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, Oronde Gadsden, all of those guys have a lot of ceiling. So it's probably going to be 2 of them, but 2 of them are going to be left out.
All right, let's end this show on a kicker question. The dreaded kicker question. McManus or God. Fitzgerald?
McManus or Fitzgerald? I'll pull it up in a second. Do you have a take on this one?
Not a clue. I don't like either.
Well, let's see if any are flagged in the McManus or Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald is Panthers. Here he is. Yeah, neither one gets flagged. I mean, I don't know if this helps KJ. If you can, I would go for one of these guys. Well, you can't go Will Lutz, but Kairos. Well, freaking A. I actually really liked Kairos Santos this week, but the 20 to 30 mile per hour winds bother me. Tyler Loop is Cameron Dicker is my number 1 kicker that I would pick this week. Otherwise, Tyler Loop. And if not one of those guys, I would go for one of these guys. I would go for Chase McLaughlin, Will Reichard, Chris Boswell. But if I have to answer the question, I personally would probably go with Brandon McManus over Ryan Fitzgerald, solely because of the spread. The 1.5 point spread in the kicker research that I've done is just better than a 5.5 point spread. I don't remember the percentages off the top of my head, but I do know for a fact that 1.5 tends to be better than 5.5. And that's all I have for you on that analysis. Could easily go Fitzgerald's route, but I would personally go with Brandon McManus if those are my only only 2 options.
I agree. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get out of here. It's time to get out of here. But if we didn't answer your question today, you can answer it. You can take a look at the data that Mikey's talking about anyways today. Right at the bottom, $2.99. Go up top to the QR code or simply go in the description. It has the direct link to where you need to be to go get your week winner. All the data is there. Get your copy. It's honestly great. In case you need to know, it's what I did last night, making my prop bets here, utilizing the week winner, looking at snap utilization, snap shares, the matchup, the environment. It's all really key here. The way I kind of break down when I get the time to be able to do all that. And this is a big piece here. On top of that, I got to figure out who I got to start in defense and kickers most of my leagues. So it's some great streamers. So QR code, description, $2.99, guys.
$2.99. And I'll say this. One of the coolest moments. I started this business in March of 2022. And by the way, if you're watching for the first time, this is what I do full time. Like, this is how I try to make a living, put food on the table, pay the bill. Like, I don't have the corporate 9 to 5 anymore. I quit that to dive in on this whole thing full time. Arguably one of the coolest moments in the 3 years that I've been doing this full time is 2 weeks ago. One of our members who he does not want me to name him by name, but one of our members did a 10-leg, it was an 11-leg parlay, $250 parlay. He cashed out when he hit the 10th leg. He cashed out for $24,000, all using a resource that costs $2.99.
It's amazing.
He's a great dude, though. He's a great dude. He sent me a message. He's like, "Hey, man, check your Venmo. I just sent you a $250 tip for your analysis on." This was 2 weeks ago. He's like, "For your analysis on Troy Franklin." And he didn't provide any other context. I didn't know anything about the parlay or any of that stuff. And I'm like, dude, you don't have to send me a tip. Like, this is what I do. The Troy, like, that's what I do. The analysis is meant to help you like win in whatever way. And then he sends me a screenshot of his DraftKings of his ticket. And I'm like, you won 24,000. Like, heck yeah, man. It was awesome. It was a really cool moment. Really, really cool. But anyway, yeah, like Tanner said, if you guys, I mean, guys, we're talking about a McDonald's double cheeseburger here. And yeah, 20 plus hours of research that I do every single week. I'm going to make this thing available every single week for $2.99. So keep an eye on wap.com/BBFF next week if you want to jump in on week 11. Or if you just want to get access to all of them for the rest of the season, enter promo code YouTube and you're going to get 50% off. Dang, Tanner, that was slick that you had that ready. Enter promo code YouTube for 50% off every single month for as long as you remain signed up a BBFF member. Other than that, Tanner, you're about to do another show, aren't you?
We are. Scott Cobe, that was in the comments here, myself and Alan Perales on the Rec Room Sports Hub. Lock it in. We will be we're about to start here in about 10 minutes. I'm happy to answer your start sit questions as well. I utilize this on my show anyways. So I appreciate that, Mikey. But we're going to go over your best player props bets today, your best spreads. We'll look at the dogs. Hopefully we can get into a little bit of fade the line if we don't like what we see. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about here. On top of that, we'll make sure you get to the inactive list this week. I screwed up last week, forgot about it. We'll hit it at 10:30 Central for that, but we'll be starting here in 10 minutes to get some early discussions out of the way so we can get our picks in. So
hell yeah, man. I won't be on the show, but I will be watching the show underneath the covers with Dayquil and Kleenex and all that stuff. Just watching you do your thing. It's going to be Tanner Dawson and then football all day long. So it's a good day to be sick. It's a good day to be sick. But anyways, if you came back, thank you. Appreciate it. If you're new to the show and you liked what you saw, you're doing me and Tanner a huge favor that costs you nothing. If you just tap that subscribe button that's over on the YouTube channel. We are doing everything we can to get to 1,000 subscribers. We are less than 80 away. So if you tap that subscribe button, you'll never miss the show. We're doing this every Sunday morning, 8 a.m. Central. Other than that, Tanner, you got anything else?
Just like, subscribe, give us a follow. You won't miss out. So.
Oh, did you? Oh, I'm back. I'm back.
You're back. You're back.
Tried to leave on y'all, but everybody have an awesome week 10. Good luck. We will see you on the fantasy football field. Cheers. This brew's for you.